There have been a lot of rumors going around about a Bloodborne remake remaster, and as per usual, I'm getting pretty jaded on hype cycles, especially when they involve games I can still readily play. Admittedly, that might sound a bit biased because what about the people who haven't played them? It's not that I don't want new audiences to play these games, more that the majority of people I see begging for this kind of thing aren't new audiences. When Persona 5 was in the process of being ported to the Switch, that was mostly a new audience who hadn't played the games wanting it on their home console. In that case though, it was incredibly annoying, and when it finally happened, people basically just shut up and now you never have to hear from them again. Thank God. Which makes you wonder what was the point of all that buzz for 3 to 4 years when it was just going to happen one day. You were going to get the game that very much exists. What was the point of harassing Atlus on Twitter for that entire time and making an ass of yourself? This is basically the same hype cycle you see with every other remaster or remake or whatever from the past however many years now. And maybe it's just me being exposed to the internet more, or maybe we're just at the point where games are so advanced and emulation is so accessible, I have a hard time believing it's impossible to play most of the games you want to now. Feels like everyone expects a remake or remaster or whatever to fix everything about their favorite game, which was supposedly already so good it warranted being a favorite. But hey, technology has gotten better, right? Which apparently means it's impossible to fuck up a new version of a product, new circumstances with a different context. Though I guess it's a little more complex when it's just a graphic overhaul like the Xenoblade remaster. Then it's just kind of bringing a great game back up to standards with what we have now. Which is mostly understandable. I mean, Xenoblade looked super fucking ugly on the Wii, so I get why it needed a new coat of paint. What I still don't get is why people will suggest random things that need remastering, as if it's going to fix the cycle of the entire planet that an already aesthetically great looking game is going to look even better. Crash Insane Trilogy is an example of a remake that paved the way for something that's actually new and fresh, but I feel like that's not the end goal of all this begging. At the end of the day, I think a leaker, anonymous or trusted, just threw something into the wind either too early or non-assuredly, and now people's minds are going on a trip to Disneyland where all their favorite series are being milked across the board on a sparkly platter. Which makes every successive director showcase where it's not revealed even more disappointing. It just feels like an unhealthy hype cycle. Ideally, yes, every game gets a pretty remaster, and it gets revealed quickly, and every director showcases a bunch of old games on a new console. Although even then, does that sound that interesting? It's bad enough that the game industry has such an awful time producing newer original IPs that we can only hope for sequels to existing ones to satisfy most of our needs. Indies aside, I'd really prefer if we didn't get to the level where the only things making people excited are announcements for ports or remasters of games that already exist and are still functional. That's part of why the grand Persona announcement of 2022 didn't get me hyped, besides just having played these games already, obviously. Persona 6, Persona 5 Arena, Morgana Whack-A-Mole, I don't know man, just give me more sustenance than ports of old games that already should have been ported years ago. Then, of course, there's Persona 3 remake rumors, which even then, that's a game that's been widely exposed to the broad audience of Persona or JRPG fans. It's easy to emulate and has enough exposure that I'd rather we just get it out of the way and maybe give a fresh coat of paint to a lesser known game like the original Persona or the sequel duology. Sure, it will probably be cool to have Persona 3 in high quality with elements fused from every version in the new Persona games to make a game more well done, but I'm at a point where I'd rather we just dedicate that to Persona 6. Something new. But no, I'll have to wait month after month with every little announcement from a company even relating to Atlus, making people overblow their expectations and throw a fit when their long-awaited version of a game that people already adore will not yet be released and change the whole world. In reality, it will probably just be an accessible, maybe well done, maybe half-decent version of a game that people play if they are interested, and at best will spread the word of a series that may or may not have even needed it. Sure, I'm glad for the people experiencing the game for the first time, but if you're that committed, you might have already emulated at this point anyway. Now, after 5 paragraphs, I'm led back to Bloodborne. Bloodborne deserves to be on PC, at least. Being stuck on the PS4, while albeit an already popular and successful console, isn't fair to those who can't afford it. Remaster, sure. Make it look better since it's being released in modern times. They did the same for Dark Souls, albeit of course that's an already pretty fucking old game in need of refinement. But a whole spicy PS5 high definition Game of the Year leakers wet dream hype train for the PS5 super duper special showcase, I feel like this is just getting annoying. I want Bloodborne 2. I don't really care for Bloodborne's legacy as that one beloved FromSoft game that's only on PS4, now magically on PS5. If they're gonna do something with it, I'd rather they do something fresh and expansive on how brilliant the game really is. Same thing happened with Metroid Prime. Sure, I think it's cool to have this old game with these great graphics on a new console, which doesn't usually have great graphics, but this does. And for most people, it's been way longer since they've played it than I have, so respect to the people enjoying it on new hardware for the first time in years. Just like, there's still no new news on Prime 4, and they couldn't even make the whole trilogy remaster despite this being rumored for years now, and the trilogy still being on Wii U eShop. Well, not anymore. But you know, I don't think Prime Remaster is bad. I do think it's the bare minimum for something I've been hearing about for years. And I won't even get started on how shit the Switch's online library has been for all that time. Doesn't even have GameCube games after 6 years. Maybe magically on the next console we could have DS games, wouldn't that be a shock? Prime Hunters on Switch eShop Remastered remake anyone? Prime Pinball? Hey, again, the world will keep spinning, and I'm sure whatever good remake mastered thing comes out down the line will be remembered as a nice or great way of experiencing the original. As for the present, it's getting annoying having gaming be so stilted at its porting or preservation of old games. Originality and quality control, people are constantly begging for the same thing, but again, and maybe even slightly better, which isn't even guaranteed depending on the company. For surprise releases or remasters separated from the same tired hype cycle, I will clap and point at the screen with a big red smile on my face. I'll probably even feel some of that excitement for the leaks I've talked about as they get announced. I would just rather remember these games as they are and not let the hype absorb me into thinking they need to be some sort of cultural reset that will invalidate the original forever and be the only true, real, cool, epic, definitive way to experience the series forever. Before it gets dated in another 10 years and then we ask for Persona 3 Remake the third one, the third Persona 3 remake of version of Persona 3 PS6. Thank you. Bye.